Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel for more interesting stories like these. Now, let's get into today's story video.
I, 26 male, thinks my wife, 25 female, is or was cheating on me with her cousin. Okay, this is going to be a lengthy one, so bear with me. This occurred approximately 2 weeks ago, and I've gone from entirely trusting her to profoundly questioning her. My wife and I met when I was 19 years old and fell in love fast. She has a 4-month-old kid from a prior relationship, but the father hasn't been involved since I've known her. I've wanted to be a parent since I was a child, but I have a genetic disease that I don't want to pass on, so adoption seemed ideal for me. Anyway, since then, we've been just like any other family. Last year, we married. She was never very close to her family, but she did have a set of cousins with whom she was always friendly, and I had a lot of pleasure getting to know them. They seemed to be nice people. She did add that one of them, Max, as we'll name him, attempted to kiss her when they were around 12 or 13 years old, but she rushed away. When I asked whether she notified anybody, she replied she just put it up to his being a foolish child. Every year at Christmas, we see him and he seems to be a regular guy. I liked him since her family is a bunch of stuffed shirts and he's normal. They recently reunited and attended a few family occasions. We only have one vehicle, and he picked her up and drove her to these events since I needed it for work. Nothing appeared out of the ordinary about this, after all, they are relatives. Her behavior didn't seem to alter much, but one night as I was watching TV, she walked in and remarked that I had friended a female from my workplace. I agreed to accept a friend request. We're a really open relationship, and things seldom bother us. For example, she'll make a filthy comment about a beautiful guy, and I have no problem informing her that this lady is the new office. She didn't accuse me of cheating, but I had the impression she was going to, which had never occurred before. I bring this up because I've seen cheaters accuse their partners of being a projection or anything. Anyway, these family trips were legitimate. The whole family publishes photos on Facebook, and the wife provides photos from the outings. There were 2 of these occurrences, and each time my wife returned home looking like a robot. Seemed normal, if not a little quieter than usual, but since she suffers from depression, she has a cold every now and again, and when I inquired if she was okay, she put it up to that. Well, she left for work 2 weeks ago, and because it was my day off, I puttered about the house, dropped the kid off at school, and returned home to check my email. I saw on Facebook that I had received a message from her cousin. He and I had just discussed going to attend a minor-level baseball game, and I assumed he would come back to me. "I'd want to see you on your knees," the note says. I was perplexed until I noticed that my wife was still signed in and that he was speaking to her. I wanted to murder him. I went to look through their conversation log, which was packed with him spying on her and her repeating stuff like, "But I'm married." And no, I'm married. These seem to be extremely thin no's, as if she is saying no because she has to, rather than because she wants to. I'm appalled and really taken aback by it. But, because none of them have mentioned anything occurring yet, and she is refusing him, although gently, I can't claim she's cheating. When she returns home and our kid is put to bed, I approach her about the issue, and she immediately bursts into an hysteria. Using phrases such as "I didn't do anything," and "I had no idea how to tell you. I was simply praying he would quit." She and I both had childhood abuse from family acquaintances, and we both went through years of treatment for it. As a result, we have extremely strong communication skills when it comes to comfort and limits, as well as how to express ourselves about unwelcome approaches. I love her, and I wanted to believe her that he was simply being a monster, but the fact that she didn't inform me and behaved normally led me to assume something else was going on. I told her I believed her and asked if I could contact him to tell him to back off and how disgusted I am that they are cousins, or if she would rather tell him herself and handle it herself. She first said that she would inform him that she knew and that he should not contact her, but her resolve frayed as she was convinced that this would just end. I was outraged about it but didn't say anything, instead telling her that knowing she wouldn't, I was going to give him a piece of my mind. This is my wife. If she is harassed, I will stop it. If she is not tormented, she is cheating on me, so I messaged him. He saw it but did not respond. The wife believes I should have let her handle the problem, but I informed her there was no way I was going to remain silent in the face of such a crisis. She appeared to comprehend and eventually said that I was probably correct to address him since she didn't know how. Everything seemed to be back to normal, but when I returned home 3 days later, she was weeping. When I asked her what was wrong, she answered, "It's Max, and you should have left it to me." I messaged him yesterday, but he won't respond. We had the discussion about my not standing by quietly while someone harassed my wife again, and she gave me a glance, not much and just for a second, but it gave me the idea that she didn't consider it harassment. We agreed at the conclusion of the debate that I handled it the way any male would handle it. 2 days later, I'm in bed at 2 a.m., having finished some work. I overhear her on the phone with someone giggling. This is not typical. I didn't believe her when she said it was her mother and had anything to do with our child's birthday, but at this point, I've started being foolish so I can witness the scenario from a location where she feels safe. The following day, she's weeping again, and at this time, I've had enough. She's been unstable for 2 weeks. When I ask whether this is about Max, she says she attempted to contact and apologize for not addressing the problem herself, but he is still not talking to her. I'll admit it, I lost my cool. I informed her that he was either abusing her or she was cheating on me, and I had caught them both. Tonight, obviously, I'll be on the sofa. I wished I could trust her, but I'm not a fool. I'm just lying here with my finger on the button, waiting for some firm truth, because if this is what it's starting to feel like, I'm ready to go 95,000 megaton nuclear on both of them. Sorry for the length, I'm simply not sure what more I can do from here. Edit, she will be at work in 6 hours. I'll apologize for my outburst and invite her to sit down with me tonight to chat. It's Sunday, and our kid usually spends the night with my parents on alternate Sundays. I'm not proud of it, but I believe spying is in my best interests. If I discover nothing, we'll talk about what occurred when it began, what I can do to support her, and what we should do next. I adore her, and the thought of her being tormented by someone who is meant to like her crushes my heart. However, if I discover anything shady or realize that she was involved in any manner, I will end the relationship at that point. I don't believe in marriage therapy in cases of adultery, and even if I did have incest, I could never look at her the same way again. We'll provide an update. Update 1, I didn't get much sleep last night, so when she got up, I cooked breakfast. I apologized and told her that I should not have blew up and that we should probably get down tonight and speak about it. She agreed as if she wasn't offended in the first place, and admitted that she had probably been behaving inappropriately. I informed her that the kind of harassment she was experiencing was made immensely more difficult by the fact that he was a member of the family. She just seemed to agree with me. I wasn't going to spy, but so many people on here told me I should, and I didn't want to be accused of not following the advice I asked for, so I went ahead and checked her emails. With her behavior this morning, I had less reasons to be skeptical, but at this point, what the heck, and did exactly that. The degree of disdain, hate, and wrath I feel cannot be adequately articulated, and the marriage will end in divorce. When I opened one of her emails labeled yummy, I saw a photo of her relative with sperm on his face. The back and forth is him telling her about his interactions with random males. They make references to previous adventures they've had together, including a photo of with a labeled "I still have our old buddy." Then I read some truly revolting garbage between them, in which she is acting quite domineeringly and mocking his penis size. Looking at the dates, I see that it was almost a year ago. As I continue to read, it seems that they used to up often but stopped after we were married. We were together for many years before we got married. Later on, she begins to use the "I'm married" excuse, but it seems as if that's simply a kink of his, to be told he can't touch her anymore, which he most likely does. I'm parenting her child, and she treats me like this. I've squandered the past 6 years altering my work schedule and refusing better paying jobs because I need hours where I can keep an eye on him. I walked outside and sat on the front porch, then summoned my brother and, after explaining the situation to him, requested him to take my rifle from me for the time being. I'm not a violent person, and I've never been one, but in this situation, I'm torn between wanting to murder him and wanting to kill myself. I'm not going to, but I feel like I'm on the verge of a nervous breakdown and I'm not sure I'll act logically. After that, I'll collect my belongings and check into a motel. These talks have all been printed, I've forwarded copies to myself, and I'm looking for additional dirt when I have time. I bought a pack of cigarettes and quit smoking 4 years ago. And joy of joys, I have to schedule an appointment at some STD clinic because, according to these filthy back and forths, having unprotected with these guys is part of a shtick. My soon-to-be ex-wife has a device, and as a result, I've never used protection with her in all these years. As far as I know, AIDS testing take months, therefore I'll be chewing my nails for months to come. I have a decent idea of his work schedule since I used to work for the same firm he does, so maybe I'll simply drive down to see his wife evidence in hand before checking in and composing myself. There is no way to heal this, no treatment, no hope, nothing constructive, and I refuse to accept an apology. I'm divorcing and she's getting nothing. Right now, I despise life. I'm not melancholy or unhappy, and I haven't wept, I simply have this burning ball of wrath in my chest that the smokes only temporarily relieve. I can't be around her or him, I know I claimed I wasn't aggressive, but man, I want to beat the out of both of them. Update 2. The previous several days have been a roller coaster ride for me. In the TLDR version of my original article, I basically learned that my wife is and has been cheating on me for years with her own cousin Max. Actually, given the amount of time this seems to have been going on, it may be seen as her cheating on him with me. Okay, I went to see a lawyer first, and then I went directly to Max's house, where I chatted with his wife. She was heartbroken, as one would anticipate, and appalled by the incest. We sat for a while, and I told her that he was boasting to my wife about having unprotected with random online guys, and that he was sending her images of him with semen on his face. She was broken because she persisted on visiting them despite my warning not to. He was and was often seen talking to odd males. She said that she permitted him to meet a guy once in a while if he thought he needed to get it out of his system, as she put it. She received the idea that he hadn't done this in over a year. After this, I spent the night at a motel where I am now staying and spoke with my mother, brother, and father. My mother phoned me and begged me to come and speak about it, saying that I must have made a mistake, but it was all voicemail and I never picked it up. My wife called me about a dozen times and I didn't respond. She didn't send any messages, so I'm assuming she knows I've been recording things and doesn't want to give me any more ammunition. That's what I'd do in her shoes. I phoned her at the end of the day and told her I'd chat to her the following day. When I finally got home, she was a wailing wreck. She wanted to embrace me, but I told her that was enough. She maintained she had never cheated on me, that I had misinterpreted things, and that Max's wife was spreading these accusations because they hated one another. It's at this moment that I understand my wife believes I learned of their affair from someone else. She has no idea I found it myself. Then I show her the documents I have with pictures of him with sperm on his face captioned "Yummy." Our old friend, a picture of a massive. Her speaks to him as if she is some kind of dominatrix, mentioning how he has a little and other power play things. At times, she told him to give him pictures of himself once these guys were done with him. That's some stomach churning stuff. I'm not a prude either, I do a lot of very kinky, so it's not like she's dealing with an uptight husband who isn't open and went out for that reason. But, in any case, the moment she knows it was me who found this and informed Max's wife, she goes from weepy and sorrowful to explosively enraged total hysterics. You should have consulted with me first. She's all over the place telling everyone everything. This is going to destroy me. You had a feeling she'd do it. I told him to stop messaging me in that manner. I almost burst out laughing at that final comment. I informed her that I had just finished reading a year's worth of messages and emails, and she never once ordered him to stop. I called her a filthy degenerate and told her that we were both definitely infected with AIDS, and she collapsed in on herself. I couldn't react because I was sobbing uncontrollably. Even so, I informed her that we were divorcing. I immediately contacted her father and asked him to come over to my place since she shouldn't be alone in that condition. When I arrived to my hotel room, I saw Max's wife had texted me. She had done extensive research on her own and discovered comments about experiences they had in 2010 on MySpace. She informed me early in our relationship that he attempted to kiss her when she was 13. But they were really at 16 or 15 or around a period when MySpace was still commonly used. I'll be honest, seeing that all that time ago was what eventually shattered me. I'm not one for emotional outbursts, but I burst out bawling in front of his wife. She, too, wept. After that, I brought her to the lawyer I'm seeing, and one of his partners is now managing her divorce. Throughout all of this, Max has been panicked and sobbing, trying to figure out where his wife is attempting to speak to me, still hoping that this is all a great mistake despite all of the evidence. It turns out that Max and his ex-wife live in a house owned by Max's parents, who have come down hard on their son, telling him he can no longer stay there and apologizing to their dill and saying she's welcome to stay with their grandchild in that house for as long as she wants, effectively disowning him. Max's father even convinced himself that Max was assaulting my wife as a youngster, which is why she is acting the way she is now. Max is on the run because his grandfather wants him dead, and she is his favorite niece, essentially a second daughter. Unprompted and eager to assist me, my father informed me that he would pay for my lodging for the week. Today, I informed my employer, no holds barred, precisely what had occurred and that I would be taking 2 weeks off to straighten my life out. He commented on how shady his divorce was and told me to take whatever time I needed bottle fed and that he'd just tell everyone on the floor, I've got a sick parent or whatever, which was kind of him, lying down in my hotel room now missing a stepson I'll probably never see again. I raised him for 6 years, changing his diapers, bottle feeding him at 3 a.m., and taking time off work when he was ill. After a horrific fall that shattered his arm, I waited on him hand and foot so his mother could sleep since she had to work in the morning. The rest of the world might burn to ash and I wouldn't blink or care, but the prospect of never seeing him again rips at me like nothing else. I need counseling. It's going to take a lot of talking to get over this. I'm not suicidal, so there's no need to be concerned. I'm an atheist, thus this is my only life, and if I terminate it, that's the end of it, haha. I'll be speaking with my lawyer later, and I'll be meeting with Max's so again since there's obviously more I don't know. I have a doctor's visit tomorrow, followed by 6 months of waiting for findings. Thank you for your help, everyone. Edit. My stepson is not the result of incest. He and his biological father look identical, and he was required to undergo a paternity test in order to establish child support. When it was determined that he was the father, he disappeared and has only been heard from once in the previous 4 years.